One goal, that's all Spain needed. But for decades, the World Cup always slipped away. A nation that produced some of the greatest footballers on earth. A country where football wasn't just a sport, it was part of everyday life. Yet every 4 years, the same story repeated itself. Hope, expectation, heartbreak. Spain had reached the World Cup 14 times before 2010. They had lifted the European Championship. They had dominated youth football. But on the biggest stage, they never reached a World Cup final. Quarterfinals became their prison. Every generation believed they would be the one to change history. None of them did, until one extraordinary team arrived. But Spain's journey to becoming world champions didn't begin in South Africa. It began years earlier. The early 2000s changed Spanish football forever. Across the country, young players were being taught a different philosophy. Forget long balls. Forget physical battles. Control the ball. Control the match. Control your opponent's emotions. Barcelona's famous La Masia Academy produced players who could keep possession under impossible pressure. Real Madrid added experience and world-class quality. Together, they created something football had rarely seen. A national team where every player understood the same language. Not Spanish, football, short passes, constant movement, patience. If you had the ball, your opponent couldn't score. Simple, but incredibly difficult to stop. Then came Euro 2008. Spain defeated Germany in the final. For the first time in 44 years, they were champions of Europe. Many believed that achievement would satisfy them. Instead, it convinced them they were capable of something even greater. Winning removed fear. Now, every player walked onto the pitch expecting victory, not hoping, expecting. When the FIFA World Cup arrived in South Africa during the winter of 2010, Spain entered as one of the favorites. FIFA ranked them second in the world. Bookmakers placed them among the strongest teams in the tournament. Their squad looked almost unfair. Captain Iker Casillas, the world's best goalkeeper. Carlos Puyol, a fearless defender who played every match as if it were his last. Gerard Piqué, calm on the ball, elegant under pressure. Sergio Busquets, the invisible engine. Xavi Alonso, the long-range passer. Xavi Hernandez, the heartbeat of the team. Andrés Iniesta, the magician. David Villa, one of Europe's deadliest finishers. On paper, Spain had everything, but World Cups aren't won on paper. June 16th, 2010, Durban, South Africa. The magnificent Moses Mabhida Stadium stood beneath clear winter skies. Kickoff was scheduled for 4 p.m. local time. Around 62,000 supporters packed into the stadium. The temperature sat close to 20 degrees Celsius. Perfect conditions. Spanish fans expected a winning start. After all, their opponents were Switzerland, a disciplined team. But not one many believed could stop the European champions. Vicente del Bosque stayed faithful to the style that had brought Spain this far. Possession, patience, precision. From the opening whistle, Spain controlled the football. Pass after pass, Xavi dictated the tempo. Iniesta drifted into dangerous spaces. Villa constantly searched for runs behind the defense. Switzerland barely touched the ball. Yet, they remained organized. Every player defended. Every space was protected. As the first half ended, Spain had controlled possession, created chances, forced saves, but the score remained 0-0. Then, everything changed. 7 minutes into the second half, chaos erupted inside Spain's penalty area. Gerard Piqué slipped while attempting to clear the danger. The loose ball bounced perfectly for Gelson Fernandes. Casillas rushed forward. Too late. Fernandes calmly poked the ball into the empty net. 52nd minute. Switzerland 1, Spain 0. The stadium exploded. Swiss supporters celebrated one of the biggest moments in their football history. Spanish fans stood frozen. Nobody expected this. For the next 40 minutes, Spain threw everything forward. Fernando Torres entered the match despite still recovering from injury. Jesus Navas added pace on the right wing. Crosses poured into the penalty area. Villa struck the post. Llorente smashed the crossbar after brilliant work from Navas. Benaglio made crucial saves. Every attack felt closer. Every minute increased the pressure, but the goal never came. When referee Howard Webb blew the final whistle, Spain had registered 22 shots and dominated possession. Yet statistics meant nothing. They had lost. 1 shot on target, 1 goal conceded, 1 defeat. It was Spain's first loss in a competitive match for almost 2 years. Suddenly, the favorites were in danger. Lose again. And the dream could end before the knockout stage even began. Champions are remembered for lifting trophies, but their stories are often defined by moments like this, moments when everything appears to be falling apart. The question was no longer, Could Spain win the World Cup? It was, could they even survive the group stage? 5 days later, Spain returned. This time, there was no room for error. June 21st, 2010, Ellis Park Stadium, Johannesburg, kickoff at 8:30 p.m. local time. The winter air had dropped to around 12 degrees Celsius. More than 54,000 spectators filled the historic stadium. Their opponents? Honduras, a team determined to frustrate the European champions. Spain attacked from the very first minute. The urgency was obvious. Every player understood the importance of this night. Then, David Villa reminded the world why he was one of football's greatest strikers. In the 17th minute, he collected the ball on the left wing. 3 defenders closed him down. It didn't matter. Villa drifted inside, accelerated past another challenge, then curled an unstoppable shot into the far corner. One of the finest goals of the tournament. Spain finally had the breakthrough they desperately needed. In the second half, Villa struck again. The 51st minute, his powerful effort took a slight deflection before beating goalkeeper Noel Valladares. 2-0. Spain were in complete control. Villa even had the chance to complete his hat trick from the penalty spot. But he dragged his effort wide, one of the few mistakes in an otherwise brilliant performance. The match ended. Spain 2, Honduras 0. Confidence had returned, the pressure eased, but qualification still wasn't guaranteed. Everything would now come down to one final group stage battle against Chile. Spain had recovered, but they still weren't safe. One match remained, one mistake, and the European champions could be heading home. Their final group stage opponent wasn't just any team. It was Chile, one of the most exciting sides in the tournament, led by the fearless Argentine coach Marcelo Bielsa, a manager famous for relentless pressing, constant attacking football, and absolute belief. Unlike Switzerland, Chile had no intention of sitting back. They were going to fight Spain on equal terms. That made this match dangerous. June 25th, 2010, Loftus Versfeld Stadium. Pretoria. Kickoff was 8:30 p.m. local time, a cold South African winter evening. The temperature had dropped to around 13 degrees Celsius. More than 44,000 supporters packed the stadium. The atmosphere felt different. This wasn't a celebration, it was survival. Spain needed at least a draw to stay in control of their destiny. Chile needed only one good night to make history. From the opening whistle, the pace was completely different from Spain's first 2 matches. Chile pressed high. Every Spanish pass was immediately challenged. Every loose ball became a battle. For nearly 20 minutes, Spain couldn't settle into their rhythm. Then, one mistake changed everything. In the 24th minute, Chile goalkeeper Claudio Bravo raced far outside his penalty area to clear a long ball. He hesitated. David Villa didn't. From almost 40 yards out, Villa struck a first-time shot toward an empty net. The ball rolled and rolled before finally crossing the line. One of the most memorable goals of the tournament. Spain led 1-0. Chile's problems became even worse. Only 13 minutes later, midfielder Marco Estrada lunged into Fernando Torres with a late challenge. The referee showed a second yellow card, then a red. Chile were down to 10 men. Spain immediately punished them. Just 4 minutes later, Iniesta found Villa between the lines. Villa calmly slipped the ball into the path of Andrés Iniesta. The finish was perfect, low, precise, into the bottom corner. 37th minute, Spain doubled their lead. For the first time in the tournament, they looked completely in control. But football has a way of changing quickly. Only 2 minutes into the second half, Rodrigo Millar's shot took a huge deflection off Gerard Piqué. Casillas had no chance. 2-1. Suddenly, every Spanish supporter became nervous again. One more Chilean goal could change everything. Spain slowed the game. Xavi dictated possession. Busquets protected the defense. Puyol won every aerial duel, minute after minute. Spain frustrated Chile by keeping the ball. When the final whistle arrived, Spain had survived. They finished top of Group H. The nightmare after Switzerland was officially over. But now, the real World Cup was about to begin. Every match from here was win or go home. Round of 16 Spain, Portugal, June 29th, Cape Town Stadium, Cape Town. Kickoff, 8:30 p.m. local time. Attendance, more than 62,000 fans. The evening temperature hovered around 15 degrees Celsius. On one side, the European champions. On the other, Cristiano Ronaldo. Portugal had not conceded a single goal in the tournament. Spain had only scored 4. Everyone expected a tactical battle. And that's exactly what happened. For more than an hour, neither side could find a breakthrough. Portugal defended with incredible discipline. Spain passed and passed and passed, searching for one opening. Then, the move arrived, the 63rd minute. Iniesta slipped a clever pass into Xavi. Xavi instantly played a delicate through ball toward David Villa. Eduardo saved Villa's first effort, but the rebound bounced straight back. Villa reacted first. His second shot crossed the line. Spain 1, Portugal 0. The stadium erupted. Cristiano Ronaldo desperately searched for an equalizer, but Spain's defense refused to break. Casillas remained calm. Piqué dominated the back line. Busquets recovered everything in midfield. When the referee ended the match, Spain had reached the quarterfinals, one step closer, but their toughest test was waiting. Quarterfinal July 3rd, 2010. Ellis Park, Johannesburg. Kickoff, 8:30 p.m., cool winter evening. Approximately 54,000 supporters inside the stadium. Paraguay had shocked everyone by reaching the quarterfinals, strong defensively, dangerous on the counterattack. This became one of the most dramatic matches of Spain's entire tournament. For over 50 minutes, almost nothing separated the teams. Then, controversy. In the 58th minute, Gerard Piqué pulled Oscar Cardozo inside the penalty area. Penalty. A massive opportunity for Paraguay. Cardozo stepped forward. He aimed low. Casillas guessed correctly. Save. Spain survived, but only moments later. The drama flipped completely. David Villa won a penalty at the other end. Now Spain had the chance. Xabi Alonso scored. Spanish celebrations exploded. Then, the referee ordered the penalty to be retaken because players had entered the area too early. Alonso walked back, took another penalty. This time, Villar saved. The rebound created complete chaos. Spain somehow failed to score. 2 penalties, no goals. The tension inside Ellis Park was unbearable. Then, in the 83rd minute, Iniesta danced through midfield. He found Pedro. Pedro struck the post. The ball bounced perfectly toward David Villa. Villa's first shot hit one post, then the other. For a split second, the entire stadium held its breath. Finally, the ball rolled across the goal line. Spain 1, Paraguay 0. Relief. Pure relief. Spain had escaped. Again. Only one obstacle remained. Germany, the most dangerous team in the tournament. They had destroyed England. 4-1. Then humiliated Argentina. 4-0. Young, fast, fearless. Many experts believed Germany would finally end Spain's dream. But Spain saw something different, a team that rarely had to defend, and Spain planned to make them defend all night. Semi-final July 7th, 2010. Durban Stadium, Durban. Kickoff, 8:30 p.m. local time. Around 60,900 supporters packed into the stadium. The temperature had fallen to roughly 14 degrees Celsius. Germany were missing one crucial player, Thomas Müller, suspended. His absence would prove enormous. From the opening whistle, Spain controlled everything: possession, tempo, space. Germany barely touched the ball compared to previous matches. Xavi dictated every attack. Iniesta floated between defenders. Busquets quietly intercepted almost everything. Yet despite Spain's control, the score remained 0-0 until the 73rd minute. Xavi walked toward the corner flag. The stadium became silent. His cross curled perfectly toward the near post. Then, Carlos Puyol exploded into the air, higher than everyone else. His powerful header flew past Manuel Neuer. Goal, Spain 1, Germany 0. Durban erupted. Puyol sprinted toward the corner flag, his long hair flying behind him. One of the most iconic celebrations in Spanish football history. Germany pushed forward. Mesut Ozil tried to create chances. Toni Kroos forced Casillas into an important save, but Spain never panicked. They simply kept the ball, running down the clock, one pass at a time. When the referee blew the final whistle, Spain had reached their first FIFA World Cup final. One match remained. 90 minutes stood between Spain and immortality. There was only one game left. 90 minutes, maybe more. Everything Spain had built over the previous 4 years came down to a single night. Across from them stood another team chasing history, the Netherlands. 3-time World Cup finalists. 3 times. They had fallen short. Just like Spain, they carried decades of heartbreak. Only one nation would finally erase its past. The other would have to wait again. July 11th, 2010, Soccer City Stadium, Johannesburg, the largest stadium in Africa, the spiritual home of South African football. Kickoff was scheduled for 8:30 p.m. local time. The winter evening was cool, around 14 degrees Celsius, 57 degrees Fahrenheit. More than 84,490 spectators filled the stadium, creating one of the loudest atmospheres of the tournament. Orange filled one side, red and yellow filled the other. The famous sound of thousands of vuvuzelas echoed around the stadium long before the players walked onto the pitch. The referee for the final was Howard Webb of England. Before kickoff, both teams looked calm. Inside, they were anything but. Spain were playing in their first ever World Cup final. The Netherlands were desperate to end a 32-year wait since their last appearance in a final. History guaranteed one thing: a new World Cup champion would be crowned. Vicente del Bosque trusted the same team that had carried Spain through the knockout rounds. Casillas in goal, Ramos at right back, Capdevila on the left, Piqué and Puyol in central defense, Busquets sitting in front of them, Xabi Alonso beside Xavi. Iniesta drifting between midfield and attack, Pedro and David Villa supporting the front line. Their identity never changed. Keep the ball, stay patient, wait for the opening. Dutch manager Bert van Marwijk had a different plan. Disrupt Spain, break their rhythm, turn the final into a physical battle. It worked almost immediately. From the opening whistle, every challenge felt heavier. Every tackle carried extra force. In just the first half, yellow cards piled up one after another. Then came the moment everyone still remembers. The 28th minute. Nigel de Jong chased a bouncing ball. Xabi Alonso arrived first. Instead of pulling out, de Jong's boot crashed into Alonso's chest with his studs raised. It looked more like a karate kick than a football challenge. Players surrounded the referee. Spain demanded a red card. Howard Webb reached into his pocket and showed only a yellow. Even today, many fans believe it should have changed the entire match. The game became increasingly aggressive. Fouls interrupted the rhythm. Neither team wanted to make the first mistake. At halftime, the score remained 0-0. But everyone watching knew this match would not stay quiet forever. The second half began with even greater tension. Spain controlled possession. The Netherlands defended deep. Every Spanish pass was met with fierce pressure. Every Dutch counterattack caused panic. Then came one of the defining moments of the World Cup, the 62nd minute. Wesley Sneijder released Arjen Robben behind Spain's defense. Suddenly, Robben was through, one-on-one. Only Casillas remained. The entire stadium held its breath. Robben aimed for the far corner. Casillas reacted instantly, stretching out his right leg. He blocked the shot with the tip of his boot. An unbelievable save. Perhaps the greatest save in Spanish football history. Had that ball gone in, everything would have changed. Minutes later, Robben escaped again. This time, Puyol chased desperately before Spain recovered. Casillas screamed at his defenders. They knew they had survived by inches. Spain refused to panic. Xavi continued to dictate the tempo. Busquets quietly recovered loose balls. Puyol dominated every aerial duel. Ramos charged forward whenever space appeared, but still, the breakthrough never came. 90 minutes ended. For the fourth consecutive knockout match, Spain remained level. Extra time awaited. One goal would decide the World Cup. Fatigue began to appear. Players struggled to sprint. Every pass required concentration. Every mistake could become unforgettable. Then, another turning point. The 109th minute. Dutch defender John Heitinga pulled Andrés Iniesta back as he raced toward goal. It was his second yellow card. Then, the red. The Netherlands were down to 10 men. Spain suddenly had an extra player. But football has taught us countless times. Having more players guarantees nothing. Spain still needed one perfect moment. The clock showed 116 minutes. Only 4 remained. Penalties were getting closer. Then, the move that changed Spanish football forever. Jesus Navas drove down the right wing. The Dutch defense scrambled. The ball eventually reached Cesc Fabregas just outside the penalty area. Most players would have rushed the pass. Fabregas didn't. He waited, just long enough. Then he spotted Iniesta making a perfectly timed run between the defenders. The pass split the Dutch backline. Iniesta controlled the ball with his right foot. He looked up once. No hesitation, no second touch. He struck across goalkeeper Martin Stekelenburg. The ball flew toward the far corner. Goal. 116th minute. For one brief second, time stopped. Then Soccer City exploded. Spanish players sprinted from every direction. The substitutes emptied the bench. Casillas ran almost the entire length of the pitch. Millions of people across Spain erupted in celebration. After generations of disappointment, Spain finally had their moment. As Iniesta celebrated, he removed his shirt. Underneath, another message waited. Dani Jarque siempre con nosotros. Dani Jarque, always with us. It was a tribute to his close friend Dani Jarque, the Espanyol captain who had tragically passed away from cardiac arrest the previous year at just 26 years old. One of football's most emotional celebrations, one that transcended sport. There were still 4 minutes to survive. The Netherlands threw everyone forward. Long balls, crosses, desperation. Spain defended with everything they had left. Puyol cleared anything that entered the box. Piqué won crucial headers. Ramos refused to let anyone through. Then, the final whistle. Spain 1, Netherlands 0, world champions for the first time. The FIFA World Cup belonged to Spain. Casillas collapsed onto the pitch in tears. Xavi embraced Iniesta. Del Bosque smiled quietly from the touchline. Years of work had finally been rewarded. As captain, Iker Casillas walked toward the golden trophy. Fireworks exploded across Soccer City. Confetti covered the pitch. One by one, his teammates gathered around him. Then, Casillas lifted the FIFA World Cup into the Johannesburg sky, a moment every Spanish football fan had dreamed about for generations. Back home, millions poured into the streets of Madrid, Barcelona, Seville, Valencia, Bilbao, and cities across the country. Car horns echoed through the night. Flags waved from balconies. Entire families celebrated until sunrise. Spain wasn't just celebrating a football victory, it was celebrating history. But what made this team truly special wasn't just the trophy. It was how they won it. Spain became the first World Cup champion to lose its opening match and still lift the trophy. In the knockout stage, they won every game by exactly 1-0. Portugal, 1-0. Paraguay, 1-0. Germany, 1-0. Netherlands, 1-0. 4 straight victories, 4 clean sheets. No unnecessary risks, no spectacular scorelines, just complete control. They finished the tournament with only 2 goals conceded in 7 matches, the fewest by any World Cup champion since Italy in 2006. Their style, known around the world as tiki-taka, wasn't about passing for the sake of passing. It was about controlling space, dictating tempo, exhausting opponents, and waiting patiently for the decisive moment. Every pass had a purpose. Every movement created another option. Every player trusted the system more than individual glory. The World Cup was not the end. It was the center of one of the greatest international dynasties football has ever seen. European champions in 2008, world champions in 2010, European champions again in 2012, 3 consecutive major international tournaments, a feat achieved by no men's national team before Spain. Players like Xavi, Iniesta, Casillas, Puyol, Villa, Busquets, Ramos, and Piqué became legends, not just because they won, but because they changed the way football was played. For years afterward, clubs and national teams around the world tried to copy Spain's philosophy. Some came close. None truly recreated it, because teams like Spain's 2010 generation don't appear often. They arrive once in a lifetime. And on that cold winter night in Johannesburg, Spain didn't simply win the World Cup. They completed one of football's greatest stories, a story that began with decades of heartbreak and ended with one unforgettable goal, one perfect pass, one perfect finish, one perfect moment. The moment Spain became champions of the world.